meetings.
Excellent. May I start with a motion to accept? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I move that the regular council meeting dates for the period November 2020 to October 2021 be held in the council chambers of the town office, 4512 46th Street, Olds, Alberta, as per the following schedule, noting that the meetings are at 1 o'clock.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any questions, comments? Councillor Overwater.
Pardon me. Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering why we're changing it from the 6 o'clock meeting that we had at the last Monday of the month, because normally that was to accommodate, our residents more so than, accommodating ourselves. So I'm just wondering why we're switching it from 6 o'clock to 1 o'clock for both of our council meetings.
Yes, largely due to the fact that we'll have staff on and not have to pay overtime to run our streaming service, which is brand new as of this meeting. So we'll have the streaming saved on our website so people can consult back to the to the meetings at a later date and time. Yes, you had a follow-up?
Yeah.
Councillor Harper,
Sorry,
think had her
I didn't have
hand
it
up
on.
first.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I do support the 1 o'clock meetings for the very reason that we are going to live streaming. So I think with a bit of instruction put onto our websites and our newspaper advertising, that our citizens would have an opportunity to learn more about viewing our meetings through the live streaming, because I understand they will be saved so you can view them anytime. And as it's a learning lesson for all of us, I believe that 1 o'clock would be more prudent for all of us and our staff, and to save staff time for them not having to come back to work at 6 o'clock to accommodate a 6 o'clock meeting. And knowing that if COVID does ease up in the near future, we could perhaps go back to a 6 o'clock meeting by making a change to this meeting schedule. And we also recognize that our seating in our public gallery is very limited. So for those reasons, I would support the 1 o'clock time.
Anybody else before I circle back? Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would support the idea of amending the proposed schedule back to the 6 p.m. I believe it's important that we encourage participation, and not everyone can participate during the day. I understand they'll be able to view at different times, but participation being my rationale.
Okay. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm in agreement with Councillor Harper. I believe that they can, in fact, view it at any point in time at their leisure, and very few people typically come to our meetings as a presentation. That is normally our policy and priorities meetings that we accept any kind of delegations, and those meetings have always been and are still going to be held probably at 1 p.m. So I do support the change to 1 p.m. for both of the council meetings on Mondays, and I think that it's a logical choice. And as Councillor Harper has stated, if we need to, we can go back and revert back when and if COVID restrictions start to lift.
Okay. Councillor Ryan or Councillor Bennett before I go back to Councillor Overwater?
I'm fine with it remaining at 1 o'clock as
all
per.
meetings at 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine with it remaining at 1 o'clock until the COVID restrictions lift and we can go back to 6. I think live streaming works, hopefully works. And people can always tune in. So that would be my way. And also it's a cost savings as well.
Excellent. Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not really sure what COVID has to do with it. I mean, it's either 1 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I'm not really understanding the COVID implication here.
Well, I think it's because we're limiting the number of people that can actually be in the gallery anyway. And now we have the streaming service that people can come in. We don't typically, unless there is a public hearing, we don't typically take questions or have interactions from the gallery at all anyway. The idea is that people can come and witness what council is doing with their time and their agendas, and it's easily done live or on a recorded live stream that they can look at any time. And this will also allow them to go back months and see what we did 2 or 3 months prior to, once we get further out. Sorry.
That really doesn't have anything to do with whether it's at 1 o'clock or 6 o'clock, the live streaming. I mean,
No, I know,
they
but-
can go back and forth, whatever. I mean, to me, we're here for the residents, and that was the reason why we changed it to begin with, to go at 6 o'clock. So I'm not getting your guys' reasons as to it. I understand there's some staff that has to come in and
It's
do
overtime,
something,
yeah.
but I'm not seeing that as a valid response. But
Councillor
it's my
Harper.
opinion.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. As I made the motion, I would like to finish off some of the discussion. In reference to our previous 6 o'clock time, it was originally intended to allow our citizens to come to council to listen. They didn't participate in our council meetings unless it was a PNP meeting where they came as a delegation anyways. So the 1 o'clock time is a cost savings for us in reference to staff time. Our citizens can still see what's happening, either live or from recorded sessions, thanks to live streaming, what happens at council. So I believe that the 1 o'clock time makes sense, and I call the question.
Excellent. All righty. Calling the question, I will ask all in favor and opposed. All right, and that is carried 5-2. Excellent, thank you. Moving along to item number 5, the deputy mayor schedule for November 2020 to October 2021. CAO. Sorry? Yes?
It's a question, Your Worship. So the schedule that we just approved, that does include the annual organizational meeting? I just wanted to
No.
make sure.
Oh, sorry.
So
Did it?
I'm just wondering if that should be a separate motion?
Oh, yes. It is a separate motion?
I believe it will be.
Okay,
So
all right, let's back up a little bit. Instead of going on, we'll, who would like to make the motion for the organizational meeting? Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the annual organizational meeting to be held on Monday, October 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Now, we'll be changing this to 1 p.m.
Pardon me?
It says 6 p.m. here, but will we be changing this to 1 p.m.?
Point of information.
Yes,
You can absolutely change it to 1 PM. We put it to 6 because it's a swearing in of your new council.
right.
That's the
Right.
only reason we set it
Thank you for the
6 o'clock.
clarification. I'll leave it at 6 then. Thank you.
excellent, thank you.
Okay, so I move that the annual organizational meeting be held on Monday, October 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at the town office, 4512 46th Street, Olds, Alberta. This meeting will include the swearing in of newly elected officials from the 2021 general municipal election being held on Monday, October 18th, 2021.
Excellent, thank you. Questions, comments, concerns regarding this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried 7-0. All right, let's move along, and thank you, CAO, for pointing out I still have our policies and priorities meetings. May I start with a motion for that item? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the Committee of Council Policies and Priorities meetings for the period of November 2020 to October 2021 be held on the following dates at 1 p.m. in the Council Chambers, Town Office, 4512-46th Street, Olds, Alberta, and the following dates are shown.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns regarding this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion carries 7-0 as well. All right, is that everything we needed to do for item number 3? That is, or number 4, I guess it was. All right, let's move along to item number 5, Deputy Mayor schedule. Did you want to speak to that, CEO?
Just asking that the council appoint themselves to the various time slots in regards to the deputy mayor schedule. I understand there was a press release that may have requires an adjustment to the schedule.
It does. I have taken it upon myself to propose a deputy mayor schedule with the press release in mind. As everybody's may be or not aware, Councillor Thompson has been censured and will not be in the rotation for deputy mayor for the 2020-2021 year. So I have proposed a schedule very similar to last year. So from November and December of 2020, I propose that Councillor Blatz take that slot. January and February of 2021, I propose Councillor Ryan takes that slot. March and April of 2021, I propose Councillor Overwater. May, June, and July of 2021, I propose Council Bennett takes that slot. And August, September, and October of 2021, I propose Councillor Harper to take that slot. So I would like to open up with a motion, and then we can have some debate if necessary. Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I move that the deputy mayor schedule for the period November 2020 to October 2021 be approved as follows, as what you suggested.
Excellent. Thank you. Were there any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion is carried 7-0 as well. All right, moving right along, appointments of council members. Appointment of council members, is this to the authorities, boards, and yes, sorry. I've also taken it upon myself after asking for everybody's preferences to set out a schedule for what we commonly refer to as the ABCs, and that's the appointments to authorities, boards, and commissions. Should I read it in the way I've proposed, or can we just go as presented?
You may want to read it in for anyone watching that doesn't have
Very good.
access to their agendas.
Excellent. Okay, so our first ABC is CAPE, Central Alberta Economic Partnership. I propose that Councillor Overwater sit on that. We have Emergency Management and Disaster Services, and this all of council sits on. We have our FCSS committee, which is Family Community Supportive Services. I've suggested that Councillor Blatz be the lead and that Councillor Overwater be the alternative on that particular committee. And just for clarification for everybody who's listening, some of these boards and commissions and committees have requirements to have a main person on point and an alternative, and some of them don't allow for an alternative. So that's why we'll have, and some require 2 seats from council or 3 seats from council. So I'll just, that's why there's a little bit of a difference between the individual committees and so forth. Anyway, sorry, on to our next one, the Intermunicipal Cooperation Committee, or our ICC Committee. We have Councillor Harper as chair, Councillor Bennett, and myself sitting on that particular committee. Then we have the Intermunicipal Planning Commission, which may go by the wayside here after our ICF is brought into effect. On lead, I propose Councillor Harper and an alternate of Councillor Bennett.
Point of order, can I just
Yes,
correct that? It's when the
IDP.
IDP comes in, the intermunicipal development plan comes into place.
Excellent. Thank you for the correction. Then we have the Intermunicipal Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, and this committee is under the same sort of watch. Once the IDP comes in, it will go by the wayside. But I propose in the meantime that we have Councillor Ryan as point on that particular one.
And can I just speak
Yeah,
to that? That
please
is
do.
correct, Mayor. Once the IDP comes in place, this would be replaced, but it practically has been replaced by the regional appeal board that had been set up early this year.
Excellent. And we can do that in due course when things come about. Next on our list is Mountain View Regional Waste Management Commission. On lead for that particular commission is Councillor Overwater, with Mayor Mazichka as the alternative. And then we have the Mountain View Regional Water Service Commission, and I propose that Councillor Harper be lead on that, with alternative Councillor Overwater. Next, we have the Mountain View Seniors Housing Board. That I propose that Councillor Ryan is the lead and Councillor Bennett is the alternate. Then we have the Municipal Area Partnership, or MAP. It is required that mayors sit on that, so I've been appointed to that. We have the Municipal Planning Commission, or MPC. I propose that Councillor Harper, Councillor Thompson, and Councillor Overwater sit on that, with an alternative of Mayor Mazichka to come in if some of those folks can't be there. Next on the list, we have the Olds District Chamber of Commerce. I propose that Councillor Harper sit on lead for that, and Councillor Blatz be the alternative. Next, we have the Olds Citizens on Patrol, or COP. I propose that Councillor Thompson be appointed as lead on that, with Councillor Blatz as the alternative. Next, we have the Olds Institute for Community and Regional Development. That I propose Councillor Bennett be the lead on, and I propose the alternate to be Councillor Blatz. Next, we have the Olds Institute Technology Committee, and I propose that Mayor Mazichka sits on that particular committee. Next, we have the Olds Policing Advisory Committee, and I propose that Councillor Overwater sit as lead on that, and the alternative being Councillor Ryan. Now, this has not been quite hammered out how many councillors will be put on that. Once we get the finalization on that particular committee, we'll can certainly do an amendment to this at that point in time. Is that not correct? No? Okay. Councillor Harper?
Your Worship, I believe that the terms of reference for that committee were set, and
Okay.
actually it states that there would be 2 council representatives on that committee with an alternate.
With an alternate,
So
okay.
it is clearly spelled out in the terms of reference, so I would
Okay.
suggest that we include Councillor Overwater and Councillor Ryan as the appointees to that committee, and the mayor suggests who is going to be the
Who's going to
alternate.
be an alternate? I believe Councillor Blatz, or Councillor Thompson has, Councillor Thompson has expressed an interest in that particular committee, so we will make him the alternate, and Councillor Ryan be the second lead. Fair enough? All right, let's move along. We have the Olds Municipal Library. We have Councillor Ryan as lead on that particular committee. Then we have the Parkland Community Planning Services. I propose Councillor Bennett be the lead on that, and Councillor Harper be the alternate. Then we have the Parkland Regional Library. I propose that we have Councillor Ryan on that particular committee. Then we have the Public Arts Advisory Committee. I propose that Councillor Harper and Councillor Overwater are the leads on that particular committee. Then we have the Red Deer River Municipal Users Group, or RDR Mugs, that we affectionately call that particular group. And Councillor Blatz is the proposed lead on that, with Councillor Overwater as the alternate. Next, we have the Southern Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission. I propose that Councillor Blatz be the lead on that, and Councillor Bennett be the alternate. And finally, we have the Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association. That committee is typically headed up by one of our staff members, Mr. Larry Wright, and the alternate to be Councillor Overwater. So unless I left anything out, Councillor Overwater, do you,
Let me make a motion first?
actually, please do, yes.
Okay, or do we want any amendments first?
I think we already captured the amendment. Didn't we?
Not really.
No? Okay.
So, do you want me to make a motion or what?
Yes, please.
Okay. I move that the appointment of elected officials to the various authorities, boards, commissions, and committees for the period November 2020 to October 2021 be approved as follows. First off, I'd like to state that the community rep for Central Alberta Economic Partnership, Ben Stone, will not be there. He has
Yes.
indicated he's too busy, and we will, I'm working with Mr. Larry Wright, who's our Economic Development Officer, to be able to appoint another business rep for that.
Excellent.
Also, I would like it stated, and this is my opinion only, this is directed more towards Councillor Thompson. I believe that you have stated several times that you are not in support of the council or the mayor, so I'm not really sure that I agree that you should be appointed to any committees to be speaking on behalf of the town, because you have out and out spoken that you do not support what our town council or our mayor are doing. So are you able to maybe put some of your differences aside and support in the town's direction for these committees?
Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Councillor Overwater, for your overarching comment. I don't believe my statements reflect, my statements are reflected properly. I may take exception to some of the decisions that are made at any point, like any councillor might, but I am indeed prepared to serve this municipality and its constituents. We may have differences of opinion at times, but that's all. Thank you.
All I'm saying is that when you leave here, you have to support the council decision. You can't be talking and disrespecting what the rest of council or mayor are saying. So when you go to these committees, you have to speak on behalf of the council, not on behalf of yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Excellent. Thank you for your input, Councillor Overwater. All right, so we have a motion on the table. Would anybody care to speak to the motion or anything further? No questions, no comments, no concerns? Yes, Councillor Thompson.
Through your worship to council. So I respect Councillor Overwater's comment that she and the Economic Development Officer are working to find a representative from the community, but I do believe it's council that makes that decision. And as an individual, when I represent council, it's the voice of council that we each should be speaking with, not our own personal. So that would be what I would choose to do.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll take recommendations from our Economic Development Officer with regards to that
Yes,
position.
and that's what I
we
was
will
going to state.
Debate that in due course.
Yes, we are working on getting people to put their name forward that have the time to represent
Right.
Cape, and
It's-
that decision definitely comes back to council.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely, and that is a very important and actually quite time-consuming position for a particular person from our business community. So making that selection is very important. All right, seeing no other questions or comments regarding the motion on the table, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And opposed? 6 to 1 is that motion passes. All right, let's move along. Next, we are going to appoint our public at large appointments, and we, as is traditional and in keeping with the MGA, just sort of another bit of a side note to those people listening and looking in on live streaming. We do go often into what we call a closed session at council here, and almost all the time that we do that, it is actually mandated by the MGA, not recommended, not, oh, if you want to go into camera or go into a closed session. It is actually mandated that we do go into camera for certain things, and one of those things is to appointment of these particular positions. So at this point in time, I would entertain a motion to go in to a closed session under FWIPE Section 17, disclosure harmful to personal privacy, and we will do that. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Blatz. All right, any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. I believe we need CAO and legislative clerk. Is that it, CAO? To stay in the
Yes.
meeting, and we kindly ask everybody else to leave the room, please. And I'm not sure who we need to.
Didn't know till I was alone how much I'd miss your love when you were gone. Waking up without you was all it took. It's when I knew what I thought that I wanted feels a lot like a heartache, don't it? If I could, I'd go back, clean the slate, just like that. Change my mind, hit rewind, make you love me just one more time. Everything I've done, I'd undo, and I'd still have you.
Kiss Me Goodbye. That's Eric Etheridge here on 96.5 CKFM. Let's take one last look together at our Environment Canada weather update. We're expecting mainly cloudy skies this afternoon, only going to get up to a high of +1. However, things are going to warm up quickly. Partly cloudy skies tonight. The low will only be 0. We're expecting sunshine in the morning, about 3 degrees, warming up to a high of 9 degrees for your Tuesday. On Wednesday, cloudy skies, 60% chance of rain and a high of +4. A mix of sun and clouds, high of +3 for Thursday. Friday, a mix of sun and clouds as well, high of +6. Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds, high of 10. And Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds and a high of 12 degrees.
This weather update is brought to you by CNR Endeavors. Online timed auction October 31st. Over 650 items, including Harley-Davidson and other motorcycle parts, and many diverse antiques and much more. To bid, go online to crendeavors.ca.
Do you want to work those digits? Like sending your messages via the 2-thumb salute? Text us. The CKFM text line is open anytime. Just dial 556-2206 and shoot us a message. The CKFM text line is brought to you by Big Rack Rentals in Olds and Sundre. Whatever the job, Big Rack has quality equipment to help you out, from aerial or scissor lifts to heaters, packers, farming rentals, water pumps, and more. Shop local, rent local with Big Rack Rentals in Olds and Sundre.
When you have the kind of experience George T. Ingham & Son Jewelers has, you certainly know a little something or two about customer service and satisfaction. There's a reason why they've been in Innisfail for so long. You'll find a stunning collection of beautiful gold and silver jewelry, diamonds, watches, and much more. It's never too early to start thinking about the holidays with free wrapping and personalized service you won't find online. One of a kind and small town built. Visit George T. Ingham & Son Jewelers in Innisfail.
2020 has been a rough year. Instead of letting 2020 get you down, let it get you 20% off at the iWarehouse. That's right, Specs addicts. We're offering 20% off frames and 20% off annual supply of contact lenses. And since we can't have you all rushing in at once, social distancing and all, we're running this sale all of October. Don't let 2020 get you down. Get 20% off at the iWarehouse all month long.
Breathe new life into your old treasures with Envision Custom Upholstery and Design. What's old can be new again with their custom interior work. Make that tired auto or marine interior and tops like new. Fix up that worn ATV seat or redesign it altogether. With over 30 years of experience and quality workmanship, if you can dream it, they can make it. Call Envision Custom Upholstery and Design in Sundre today at 403-559-6057. October is a sweet month at AG Foods, especially with the Harvest Super Saver back in store. Save big store-wide all month long. Start your Halloween baking with Rogers Flour for just $9.99 or Rogers White Sugar for $4.99. Munch on Western Family Chips, 2 for $4. Perfect with Western Family 12 packs a pop, 2 for $8. Plus, get Gala apples Canadian grown for $4.49 in a 3-pound bag. Armstrong cheese is just $8.99. Parquet soft margarine is 2 for $7, and Oli Mel ham for $7.99. It's a month of savings with the Harvest Super Saver event on at AG Foods.
The new Canadian Emergency Alert System is a joint effort between broadcasters and governments to keep Canadians informed. 96.5 CKFM and Rock 104 are part of the Canadian Emergency Alert System. When you hear an alert, it's time to act. Learn more at alertready.ca.
96.5 CKFM.
The hottest new trend is social networking online.
Streaming online at ckfm.ca.
Lonely lady living down the road. Don't you have any friends at all? I never hear them knocking at your door. Could it be you just don't blame me. I swear I just came here to unwind and have one drink. The way it looks ain't what you think. This Cabernet has a way of vanishing on me. There's a hole in the bottle, leaking all this wine. It's already empty, it ain't even supper time. Hey, no, I don't miss it. In fact, it slipped my mind. There's a hole in the bottle of wine. I keep my cool, play by all the rules. I swear 10 minutes ago that bottle was full. I won't cry about love gone wrong, 'cause tears would water down this ruby red I'm sipping on. There's a hole in the bottle, leaking all this wine. It's already empty, it ain't even supper time. Hey, no, I don't miss it. In fact, it slipped my mind. There's a hole in the bottle of wine. Oh, yeah. I went and got a new one, 'cause the other one was broken. Now this one's halfway gone, and it's barely even open. There's a hole in the bottle, leaking all this wine. It's already empty, it ain't even supper time. Hey, no, I don't miss it. In fact, it slipped my mind. There's a hole in the bottle of wine. You may ask me where it's going, but I can't even find the hole in the bottle of wine.
Kelsey Ballerini, Hole in the Bottle here on 96.5 CKFM. Baron Van Klooster with you. That'll do it for our time together today. We've got a couple more tracks before the top of the hour. Then it's Corey Knoll. He's in for the afternoon drive home show on a Monday.
Hey, this is Jason McCoy of the Roadhammers. You know, there's several reasons to get checked for prostate cancer. I have many. One is my love of riding my bike on an open road. How many reasons do you have? Prostate cancer treatment is 90% successful if detected early. See your doctor and get a simple PSA blood test.
Did that get your attention? Hack Transport is at your attention. One call and they're ready to roll. They take pride in serving small-town entrepreneurs and businesses. From cargo to junk removal to heavy transport services, no matter what your materials or products you need moved, they can guarantee a professional job. So now that we have your attention, head to hacktransport.ca. That's HAKK transport.ca. Or call 306-861-8734 today.
A free guide to selling your home. Determine the marketability of the renovations you did 3 summers ago with your cousin and his kids, and establish an aspirational list price and creatively move your furniture around, and thank Karen from the office for her input on Feng Shui. And take some pictures using your phone and juggle your days to show your home to potential buyers whenever it suits them, and haggle with random real estate agents who say they have a buyer but they won't show you their buyer until you agree to meet with them to list your place, but they might actually have a buyer, and you most definitely don't want to miss out on an actual buyer and read through offers when they come in. Or you could call Lyle Peterman of Charles Real Estate. LylePeterman.com.
Nothing brightens a day more than a big, beautiful smile. Keep yours healthy with West Oats Dental. Hi, I'm Dr. Olivia Kui. Come into a warm, friendly environment with compassionate dentists who will make sure you are fully comfortable through every step. Remember, every new patient gets a free electric toothbrush or whitening kit with their appointment. No matter if it's Invisalign, crowns, or just a cleaning, put your best smile forward with West Oats Dental. Call 403-507-8100 or visit westoatsdental.com.
Need help with your game? You ask a teammate. Need help getting there safely? You rely on the Jiffy Lube team. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
Jiffy Lube in Olds and Sundre, your only locally owned and operated quick lube.
still get that song stuck in my head. I couldn't hold you closer. I remember every inch of that old dance floor, every stitch on the dress you wore, and I gently swayed, just like it was yesterday. And that's what I call love. That's what I call love. Baby, what we've got, that's what I call love. We had all our plans laid out in stone, but once we got going, we had our share of bumps along the road. No, it wasn't all roses, but money was tight feeding two growing boys. A little old house with a lot of noise. Oh, we thought that we had the world. Then along came a little girl. That's what I call love. That's what I call love. Baby, what we've got, that's what I call love. Well, I catch you looking in the mirror, asking where has the time gone. But don't let it worry you, my dear, 'cause time waits for no one. But girl, I promise that I'll be there through every wrinkle and every gray hair. Oh, there's nothing that we can't get through. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. That's what I call love. When you just can't get enough. his face. Front page obituary, he was a millionaire. He left his fortune to some guy he barely knew. His kids were mad as hell, but me, I'm doing well. And I drive by today, just say thanks and pray. And I left a 6-pack right there on his grave. And I said, God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy. God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy. God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy.
CKFM News Update.
Now this update from the Canadian Press. Canada's procurement minister says this is not the time to threaten and weaken the federal government's relationships with the suppliers on whom Canada's health and safety depends. Anita Anand warns a Conservative motion to probe the government's pandemic spending will put federal contracts in jeopardy. However, Conservative health critic Michelle Rempel-Garner calls that attitude garbage. The Ontario government has decided not to announce whether the province will impose stricter COVID-19 restrictions on 2 more Toronto area regions. They would have been in addition to rollbacks in Toronto, Peel and York. Conservative MP Eric Duncan says, as a gay man who lives in rural Ontario, he needs to speak up against the practice of trying to make LGBTQ people heterosexual. Duncan led off a response in a debate in the Commons today on a proposed bill to criminalize so-called conversion therapy. From the Canadian Press, I'm Roger Ward.
News is brought to you by Shots Lake. The new lakeside conference area is set up for your next work meeting, crafting event, or retreat, featuring state-of-the-art multimedia equipment in a fully renovated setting. Shots Lake RV and Guest Ranch. Come for the food, stay for the view.
I'm Gail Hartwigson with an information update. The 2020 Business Excellence Awards were handed out in a virtual format this year by the Didsbury and District Chamber of Commerce. Dick's Trucking is the 2020 Business of the Year for 11 or more employees. Owners Randy and Carrie Dick received the award last Monday.
We feel very honored. We're very fortunate because Randy and I have a great group that, kind of represents us well in the community. And I think that's, our biggest accomplishment is how well our employees represent us.
The Business of the Year award for 10 or fewer employees is Didsbury Smiles Dental. A new honor this year is the Green Business of the Year. It was accepted by environmental scientist Kirk Elliott with Trace Associates Incorporated.
We are an environmental consulting company, so we work with clients to provide a variety of environmental solutions. And then also within our business, across all our offices, we're continually looking for ways to improve sustainability and reduce our environmental footprint.
The Business Leadership Award belongs to Greg Poirier with Didsbury AG Foods. The Didsbury Historical Society is the Association of the Year. Polish Me Pretty Nails is the recipient of the Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and the Didsbury District Chamber of Commerce's Innovative Enterprise of the Year Award winner is Airwaves Electronics. Olds College is pleased to announce that Farm Credit Canada has been selected as its 2020 Partner of the Year. In 2018, FCC stepped forward as Olds College's first corporate partner in the Smart Farm. Since then, Olds College President Stuart Cullum says FCC has made a 4-year commitment to Olds College and its focus on cultivating informed decisions through the advancement of ag technology learning and applied research at the Smart Farm.
We're incredibly happy to honor FCC in this way, and it's a real representation of how strong of a partner they have been for the college over many years.
The Olds College Partner of the Year Award is one of the most prestigious awards bestowed by Olds College. The recipients of this award reflect the mission of Olds College and support the values, mandate, and vision in a manner that has a positive and measurable as well as lasting impact on the college. And finally, in response to rising case counts of COVID-19 across the province, Alberta's court system is asking people to hit the brakes if they're thinking of heading to a courthouse to deal with a traffic ticket. The Office of the Chief Judge has released revised guidelines for traffic court, which will require all parties to communicate by phone or by email with the applicable courthouse. All traffic fines can be paid online without a service fee at fines.alberta.ca. Those who must deal with the courts should do so by phone, mail, or email until they are advised to attend in person. Full and updated information about dealing with traffic court during the pandemic can be found at albertacourts.ca. In sports, as heard on 96.5 CKFM, 18-year-old rookie forward Caleb Kremp from Innisfail provided more overtime heroics for the Olds Grizzlies on Friday at the sports complex. Kremp's second goal of the night allowed them to skate away with a 5-4 triumph over the Calgary Canucks. The Grizzlies took 4 of the 6 meetings from Calgary during this month's AJHL Cohort Exhibition Series. 3 of the 4 wins for Olds were in overtime, and Kremp scored the winning goal in 2 of them. 17-year-old defenseman Peyton McDonald Correa from St. Albert punished the Canucks by delivering a handful of open ice hits on Friday. He says the Grizzlies had an edge in physical play during the series with Calgary.
That's what Scotty has really been telling us, how we need to play and everything. It's part of our structure. Just be physical, and we really want to set a dominant presence when other teams come into our home building like that.
Josh Zinger from Red Deer, Malik Kadura from Chestermere, and Noah Hackett from Ponoka also scored on Friday night for the Grizzlies, while Ty Marcinkowski from Camrose made 15 saves in net. Stay tuned to 96.5 CKFM for more information about upcoming exhibition action for the Olds Grizzlies as the Alberta Junior Hockey League continues its development season through the COVID-19 pandemic. That's your information update.
Gary from Canadian Tire here.
And me, Super Mega Big Gary.
The biggest tire sale of the year is
back for a limited time.
Get up to 25% off top tire brands like
Bridgestone, Michelin, Motomaster, Goodyear, and Continental.
Super Mega Big Gary?
Yes?
Easy on the air horn?
Okay.
The biggest tire sale ends soon, so hurry in before October 29th. Shop online or in-store. No rain checks, conditions apply. See in-store for details.
Get ready for the killer deals during the bare bones sale this week at Sims Furniture. Deadly deals, 4 days only. Savings up to 75%. Sims has cut their prices to the bare bones on select mattresses, furniture, and accessories. Find huge clearance deals on odds and ends, damaged and one of a kind. Make no bones about it, Sims has the best prices in town. The biggest, most exciting sale of the year is the bare bones sale. Wednesday through Friday from 10 till 6 and Saturday till 4. Only at Sims Furniture in Uptown Olds.
To 206, good afternoon. Yes, it is the week of Halloween, and wouldn't you know, the weather is going to get very, very nice this week. Mostly cloudy today, wind gusts up to 15 kilometers an hour and a high of +2 this afternoon. Partly cloudy for tonight, wind west 40, the temperature rising through the overnight to +3 by tomorrow morning. Sunny on Tuesday, wind west 40 with a high to +9. Wednesday, periods of snow expected, but still a high of +3. Thursday, back to a sun-cloud mix, high of +3. Friday, sun-cloud mix, high of 6 degrees. Then Saturday and Sunday, we get to double digits. A sun-cloud mix both days, high to 10 on Saturday and 12 on Sunday. Around the region now, it's 0 in Sundre this hour, Rocky and Carolina +1. Then it's +2 in Red Deer, Innisfail, Three Hills, Trochu, Calgary, and Carstairs. Olds, Didsbury, and Bowden, cloudy right now with the current temp at +1.
Weather is brought to you by the town of Carstairs. The Carstairs Library is open, and they're launching their new takeout menu. For more information, visit carstairspublic.prl.ab.ca.
Now, more of what you came here for.
All the best country.
Time for the music. Today's best country. 96.5 CKFM.
Give you everything that a woman
Yep.
Thank you so much for bearing with us, everybody. I'll call today's meeting back to order. So let's jump right back into the recommendations for the public at large. May I have a motion for the first set? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I so move that Jolene Staples and Barb Adair be appointed to the Family and Community Support Services Advisory Board, FCSS, for a term of 1 year to expire at the 2021 organizational meeting.
Thank you so much, Councillor Harper. Questions, comments, concerns regarding the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed. And that motion carries 7-0. Fantastic. Let's move along to the next one. For the FCSS, Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Jamie Regwell, Carolyn Tashumi, and Angie Durant be appointed to the Family and Community Support Services Advisory Board, FCSS, for a term of 2 years to expire at the 2022 organizational meeting.
Excellent, thank you. Comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. All right, let's move along to MPC. Who would like to do that? Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Your Worship. I would move that Phyllis Hopernick be appointed to the Municipal Planning Commission for a term of 2 years to expire at the 2022 organizational meeting, and also note that she must complete the training and application that's requisite.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. All right, moving right along to the Olds Municipal Library. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Worship.
Sorry.
I move that Glenys Grover, Linda Olson, and Lisa Savram be appointed to the Olds Municipal Library Board, OML, to a term for 2 years to expire in 2022 organizational meeting.
Point of order.
Yes.
We weren't going to put Lisa in there. We were going to offer her. If you would just friendly amend.
Friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All righty. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? And that motion carries 7-0. All right. So we have Olds Policing Advisory. Who would like to make the motion for the Olds Policing Advisory Committee? Anybody? Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I move that Jody Tolm and Rob Irwin be appointed to the Olds Policing Advisory Committee upon completion of a suitable criminal record and swearing of an oath of office for a term of 1 year to expire at the 2021 organizational meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. All right, next set of Policing Advisory Committee. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Mr. Cummings, Ms. Williams, and Mr. Hammer be appointed to Olds Policing Advisory Committee upon completion of a suitable criminal record and swearing of oath of office for a term of 2 years to expire 2020 organizational meeting.
2022?
2022, sorry.
Excellent, thank you. Questions, comments, concerns on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? And that motion carries 7-0 as well. All right, let's move along to the Public Art Advisory Committee for a 1-year term. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Renew Matthew be appointed to the Public Art Advisory Committee, PAAC, for a term of 1 year to expire at the 2021 organizational meeting.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? That motion carries 7-0 as well. All right, let's move along to the 2-year terms for the Public Art. Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I move that Nan McKernan, Lori Jo Graham, and Michael Brown be appointed to the Public Art Advisory for a term of 2 years to expire at the 2022 organizational meeting.
Excellent, thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. Excellent. Well, that brings us, I believe, to the end of our agenda. There are just a couple of things that I would like to acknowledge when I find the proper sheet of paper. Thank you so much. At this point in time, we'd like to thank a number of the members of public that have sat on our committees and so forth over the past little bit and have decided that they will step down and retire. And we just want to reach out, council and I, to thank these people. Helen Niemeyer, she was very active with our FCSS committee. Same with Marnie Reagan. She was a great supporter of the FCSS initiative. Janice Thompson was on our MPC commission for a number of years. Thank you so much for your service. Jean-Pierre Malongo, is that correct? Is that pretty close? Okay. Served on our Olds Municipal Library Board, as well as Arlise Chun Isban. Was on our municipal library board for a number of years as well. So we thank you very much for your service. Further, the elected officials would like to thank James Cummings, Phyllis Horpenick, and Leon Muir and Dan Peters, who made up our Citizens Committee on Council Remuneration, and their continued work that committee did was just phenomenal. So thank you very much to those people. We also have a special tribute, and it's with a very, very heavy heart that council wishes to acknowledge Mrs. Judy Schlickemeyer. She's an incredible volunteer in our town on a number of initiatives, including our Chamber of Commerce and our COP, Citizens on Patrol, as well as the Rural Citizens on Patrol. Judy passed away suddenly this year, and her absence is going to be greatly missed by all of those who worked alongside with her. She was an incredibly special lady. So on behalf of all the staff, the citizens of Olds, and council and I, we send her our deepest sympathies to the Schlickemeyer family. And I believe that brings us to the end of the meeting. Everybody's shaking their head, so that's a good thing. That means I haven't forgot anything. So at this point in time, I'd like somebody to move adjournment. Councillor Ryan got her hand up first. All in favor? Opposed? And that's 7-0 as well. We are adjourned. All right, let's clean up that mess. Start mess number 2. Okay, unless there's anything we need to do in between. Anybody? Jump right in. All right. So at this point in time, I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting for Monday, October 26th, 2020. And thank you for everybody joining us virtually and in the crowd today. Let's move right into some added items. Anybody have an added item to put on the agenda today? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Under new business, I'd like to add item 6C, letter of reprimand.
Okay, new business, so 6C. Okay. Excellent. Any other added items? Councillor Blatz.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Under new business, I guess it would be 6D. I would like to bring forward the 70th Avenue intersection, if I could, please.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
Any other added items before we move on to adoption of the agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt today's agenda? Councillor Blatz.
Thanks, Your Worship. I move that we adopt the regular council meeting agenda for Monday, October 26, 2020, as amended.
Excellent, thank you. Any comments, questions, or concerns regarding that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? And that motion carries 7-0. All right, let's move into the adoption of previous minutes. We have a number to get through, so Councillor Bennett, would you like to start us off?
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the minutes from the October 13th, 2020, 10:30 a.m. special closed council meeting be adopted as presented.
Excellent. Comments, questions, concerns with regards to that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. All right, may I have a motion for the next set of minutes? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I move that the minutes from the October 13th, 2020, 1 p.m. regular council meeting be adopted as presented.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns regarding this motion? Councillor Blatz.
Yes, just a small typo on page 11 under closed section. It says Councillor Thompson declares pecuniary interest as the executive director. It should be
Okay. Excellent.
of the Olds Institute. Just a small typo.
And clerk, you have that captured. I saw you writing, so, and nodding, which is a good thing. All right, so we have as amended. Any other amendments or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on that one. Those in favor? And opposed? And that carries 7-0 as well. All right, next set of minutes, please. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the minutes from the October 15, 2020, 10 a.m. special closed council meeting be adopted as presented.
Excellent, thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. All right, we have one last set of minutes to approve. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the minutes from the October 15th, 2020, 2 p.m. special closed council meeting be adopted as presented.
Excellent, thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried 7-0. All right, excuse me. Let's move along to item 3. Fire Service Awards update. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'd like to have Chief Andrew come up to the podium and do a small presentation in regards to the Years of Service Awards. Typically, we have this as a bigger celebration in the Town Council meeting. We had a previous award ceremony earlier this year to basically honor these people that are achieved these milestones. But with COVID, that had to be a small ceremony, and again with COVID, we could not bring everybody to the chamber for this very important celebration of years of service, but I'll hand it off to Chief Andrew. Chief Andrew.
Great. Thank you, CAO Merritt, Council, Your Worship. Thank you for having me this afternoon to formally celebrate the combined service of members of our community for the fire department of 100 years. I'm not sure I could make that math work any other year, but this year we will take it. So again, our members were extremely grateful for the opportunity to be recognized in a formal ceremony after we were able to settle the COVID restrictions and navigate that. So they were very pleased to have council at the fire station for that recognition. And so formally here in the public forum, we're celebrating that again. So we're celebrating Deputy Fire Chief Brian Powell, 25 years of service. David Mitchell is 20 years of service. Firefighter or Lieutenant Chad Harper is 20 years of service. Captain Scott Chant, our very own, is 15 years of service. Kelly Andrew, Captain, is also 15 years of service. And Noel Darcy is qualified officer of being 5 years. So we have even number of recognition this year. The two members of 20-year service, as we indicated at the formal presentation, that they both are nominated and awaiting approval for the federal exemplary service medals that will be presented through, typically through Member of Parliament. And so when that comes, we would be happy to make council aware of that formal presentation again. So those are the numbers and the members. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Chief, for the update and allowing us to be part of your very small COVID-friendly celebration that you had at the fire hall with families. And of course, Council and I appreciate beyond belief the service that all your volunteers do for our town. And to see some of these numbers, 20, 25, 15 years, is just a testament to how well the department runs and the dedication of these particular individuals. Pass our thanks along to them again. Thank you. May I have a motion? Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I move to accept for information the following years of service to the Olds Fire Department. Do you want me to read it out, Marcy? No, okay. No. As follows. I'll do it that way.
As presented.
As
by
presented.
The chief.
And I too appreciated being there. It was wonderful talking to, I sort of went around from the newbie firemen, then to the sort of middle-aged ones, and then I got to the veteran people. And it was interesting talking to all of them, and I really appreciate their service. So, thank you.
Absolutely. And your deputy chief, in your absence, as you were sick with a cold, not COVID, and did a bang-up job of emceeing that particular ceremonies. So pass that along to him as well.
Very good. It was truly baptism by fire for him. So
was it ever? When do you have about 10 hours notice?
Or so, yes. Yeah.
Thereabout? Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Any other comments? Yes, CAO.
Yeah, I think the fire chief and the deputy fire chief would like to thank council, because all of council showed up for this ceremony, even though it was in a very subdued setting, so to speak, but it was great to have everybody honored. And I know a number of firefighters did tell me they appreciated that all of council did show up for this ceremony. So I think congratulations to and kudos to council for doing that.
Thank you very much, CAO. Any other comments, questions, concerns on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed, and that passes 7-0 as well. Thank you so much, Chief. All right, let's move along. Is there any business arising out of the minutes or any unfinished business? Seeing none, we'll move along and get into our bylaws. That brings us to item 5A. CAO, would you like a quick introduction, or do I need to read my script yet?
I think it would be best for you to read your script
All
so people
right.
are reminded of the public hearing and the requirements of
All
such.
right, so section 172 of the MGA says that you may not take part in the discussion and decision-making on any matter in which you have a pecuniary interest. The legislation attempts to ensure that you are not discriminated either for or against by your virtue of membership on council. If you have a pecuniary interest, you are to disclose that you have an interest and its general nature. You are to abstain from any discussion of the matter and from voting. And you are to leave the room until the matter has been dealt with. And you should make sure that your absentation is recorded in the minutes. You are not to be discriminated against and are entitled to participate in the public hearing as a member of the public. So I hereby call the public hearing for bylaw 2020-11 to order. Would the planning department please like to make a presentation? And we have, please state your name.
And so Natasha Wright with Parkland Community Planning Services. So I'll be doing the presentation for the following two public hearings.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
She's just a soft talker. She should maybe speak up a little.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first bylaw that we're looking at is 2020-11. So the purpose of this bylaw is to add staff residence in a basement on lots 9 and 10, Block 6, Plan 472I, as a permitted use to the Central Commercial C1 District. So a little bit of background for this bylaw. So the applicant is requesting the amendment. The applicant is the owner of the parcel. So that the basement of the eye care clinic can be developed with a suite for optometry students. So the development that is there now was approved as personal services in 2006 under the current development permit, which did include basement development at that time. The proposed suite would provide short-term accommodation from 6 to 12 weeks for students that work at the clinic while they're there on their internship. The proposed use doesn't fit with any of the available uses in the C1 district, namely the mixed-use commercial at grade. The definition is on the screen there. And this use does require that the commercial component not be above the residential, which in this case, with the suite in the basement, the commercial would be above the residential, so it doesn't fit with this definition. So that's why we're proposing that staff residence be added to the district for this specific site, because this isn't just sort of a general residential component. This is specifically related to the principal use of the site. So people staying there are employed at the clinic. So we're recommending that it be listed as a permitted use in the C1 district, since the mixed use commercial grade is a permitted use, as well as the staff residence is also permitted use in the DCMU 1 district and the college district. We're also recommending that this new use be site-specific, which is why within the use it does list the legal description for the parcels that it affects. This is just to prevent it from being developed anywhere else within the C1 district at this time, in case council wants to have a closer look at what that might mean in the future. So public input prior to the public hearing. So it was advertised in the October 13th and October 20th editions of the Albertan. Referral letters were also sent to referral agencies. We did receive 3 responses from ACO Pipelines, Mountain View County, and TC Energy, and they indicated they had no objections. We did receive 1 comment from the general public just recently, so it will be entered into the record today. Do you want a copy of it, Marcy? So their comments are on the screen there. They said that they couldn't attend the hearing today, but asked that council will pledge that if the bylaw passes to amend the land use bylaw, they will ensure the town administration and or contractors no longer acknowledge LUB bylaws violations with an attitude of bites them in the butt later. And the idea that the town of Olds representatives can rely on the argument of economic discrimination against rate holders of lower asset wealth. So this comment did come in specifically for this bylaw, but I'm not sure how it relates to the amendment itself. So I don't have a response available or any proposed amendments to the bylaw based on this.
I was a bit confused by those comments myself.
So those were the only comments that we received on the proposed bylaw prior to this. So recommendation for council today is to give second reading to the bylaw and then third reading of the bylaw.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ms. Wright. All right, so presentations before council shall be brief and to the point and limited to 5 minutes. Council shall not be allowed to cross-examination of a person giving information, and it will not be necessary for the person giving information to verify his or her qualifications. Council may ask questions of the speaker after each presentation for clarity purposes. No debating or questions from the floor will be allowed, and no written or verbal submissions will be received by council after the public hearing is closed. Persons addressing council will state their name and address and indicate whether they are speaking on their own behalf, for a client, a company, or a citizens group. So at this point in time, I would like to make the first call for all those who are in support of the proposed bylaws to make a presentation. And this end of it will go quite quickly, as there's nobody here in our gallery any further, so I'll move right along to making the second call for those who are in support of the proposed bylaw. At this point, I'll make the first call for all those who are opposed to the proposed bylaw to make a presentation. And now I'll make the second call for those who are opposed. And then I will make the first call for all persons who are deemed affected by the proposed bylaw to make a presentation. And seeing none, I will make the second call for all those persons who deemed to be affected. Seeing none, I will ask this, at this point in time if council has any comments or questions of Ms. Wright with regards to clarity or so forth. Seeing none, we'll move along and ask Ms. Wright if she has any closing.
I don't
Comments.
have any further comments, Your Worship.
All right. Well, then I declare this public hearing for bylaw 2020-11 closed. May I have a motion for second reading, please? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I so move that council give second reading to bylaw 2020-11.
Excellent. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? And that motion is carried 7-0. All right, let's move along to third reading. May I have a motion? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move the council gives third reading to bylaw number 2020-11.
Excellent, thank you. Comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor and opposed? And that motion carries 7-0 as well. Thank you very much, everybody. And let's move right along. And Ms. Wright doesn't have to sit down as she's right in there again. All right, so we have bylaw, item 5B, bylaw 2020-11. Again, land use bylaw amendment of 01-23. Public hearing, again, sorry to have to do this to everybody, but it is required under the MGA that I state section 172 of that MGA states you may not take part in a discussion or decision makings on any matters in which you have a pecuniary interest. The legislation attempts to ensure that you are not discriminated either for or against by virtue of your membership on council. If you have a pecuniary interest, you are to disclose that you have an interest and its general nature. You are to abstain from any decisions of the matter and from voting. You are to leave the room until the matter has been dealt with, and you should make sure that your absentation is recorded in the minutes. You are not to be discriminated against and are entitled to participate in the public hearing as a member of the public. So I hereby call this public hearing for bylaw 2020-12 to order. Ms. Wright.
Thank you, Your Worship. So bylaw 2020-12, which is before you now, proposes to remove solid waste transfer station from the list of allowable uses in the light industrial I1 and heavy industrial I2 districts. It also proposes to amend the definition of public and quasi-public uses to explicitly exclude solid waste transfer stations from the definition. And this is in order to prevent any more solid waste transfer stations from being developed in Olds. So the existing definition of solid waste transfer station will remain in the land use bylaw, so we're not proposing to remove it as part of this amendment. And this is so that it remains a separate defined use, so it can't be considered to be a part of any other defined use within the land use bylaw. And by removing it from the list of allowable uses in the industrial districts, a development permit can't be obtained for the use because it's not listed. And there is a clause within the administrative section of the land use bylaw that does state if a use isn't listed, they can't be, a development permit can't be obtained for it. We're also proposing to amend the definition of public and quasi-public uses. This is because that definition is quite broad and could be considered to contain the solid waste transfer station. So we're proposing to add just a sentence at the end of the definition that explicitly states that it doesn't include a solid waste transfer station. So having both of these definitions available in the land use bylaw means that the clause, any use that is similar in the opinion of the development authority to the permitted or discretionary uses above, which occurs within the list of allowable uses in the districts, cannot be used to obtain an approval. Since it is a defined use, it can't be considered to be something similar if it's already been defined. So public input for this public hearing, it was also advertised in the October 13th and October 20th editions of the Albertan. Referral letters were also sent to referral agencies asking for their comments. And we've received 3 comments from referral agencies from ACO Pipelines, Mountain View County, and TC Energy. that have indicated they have no objections, and we have not received any comments from the general public on this proposed bylaw. So recommendation before council is to give a second reading to bylaw 2020-12 and to also give third reading to bylaw 2020-12. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Wright. Presentations before council shall be brief and to the point and limited to 5 minutes. Council shall not be allowed to cross-examination of persons giving information, and it will not be necessary for the persons giving information to verify his or her qualifications. Council may ask questions of the speaker after each presentation for clarity purposes. No debating or questions from the floor will be allowed, and no written or verbal submissions will be received by council after the public hearing is closed. Persons addressing council will state their name and address and indicate if they are speaking on their own behalf, for a client, a company, or a citizens group. So at this time, I would like to make the first call for all those who are in support of the proposed bylaw to make a presentation. And again, we'll go through this fairly quickly, as the only person sitting in the gallery is one of our staff members, unless you are speaking. No. I'd like to make the second call for all those who are in support of the proposed bylaw. Seeing none, I'll make the first call for all those who are opposed to the proposed bylaw to make a presentation. Seeing none, I will make the second call for all those who are opposed to the proposed bylaw to make a presentation. Seeing none, I would like to make the first call for all those persons deemed affected by the proposed bylaw to make a presentation. Seeing none, I'll make the second call for all persons deemed to be affected. Seeing none, I would like at this time, if council has any questions for Ms. Wright or anybody else in the planning department. Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Just for clarification, with the passage of this particular amendment, does that mean that the one particular parcel that's within the town of Olds limits would lose that designation? Or would it be grandfathered? And I'm talking about the former solid waste transfer site. So would it be grandfathered in, or would it lose that designation?
So the former waste transfer site actually isn't within either the industrial or light industrial or heavy industrial. It's the industrial business district. Is that correct, Scott? So it didn't have this designation to begin with.
Okay. All right, Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. It's my understanding that there would be no transfer station anywhere within the town of Olds limits going forward. That's my interpretation of this, and I think I'm correct in that.
Okay. Ms. Wright?
Yes, that is correct. That's what this bylaw will do.
Would anybody else like to chime in before we go back to Councillor Harper? Seeing none, Councillor Harper.
I just want clarification that that since that site was a transfer site for solid waste, we want to remove the ability for any company to have solid waste transfer within the town of Olds. And I just want to make sure that we don't have it grandfathered in on a particular parcel of land. So I want those assurances.
Yeah. Ms. Wright?
So Scott may have a little more background on the specific site. Is it an existing, are they still operating there now? No, okay. So if they do have an approval for a solid waste transfer station, if it has been discontinued for a period of 6 months or more, they wouldn't be able to continue. They would have to go through a new approval.
A new approval process. Good. Excellent. Any further comments, questions, concerns? No? All right. Then I would like to ask Ms. Wright if she has any closing comments.
I don't have any further comments.
Excellent. Well, then I will declare the public hearing for bylaw 2020-12 closed. All right, let's move along. May I have a motion for second reading, please? Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Your Worship. I would move that council give second reading to bylaw number 2020-12.
Excellent, thank you. Questions, comments, concerns regarding the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried, 7-0. All right, moving along, may I have a motion for third reading? Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that council gives third reading to bylaw number 2020-12.
Excellent, thank you. Questions, comments, concerns on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion is carried, 7-0. All right, that is, thank you very much, Ms. Wright, for your participation today. Let's move right along to some new business. Item 6A, Budget Engagement Report. CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, this is another engagement that we basically went out to the public with this past fall, and I'll ask Mr. Wagstaff if he has any introductory comments before handing it off to Jennifer Lutz, who basically was in charge of running this survey for us for the town of Olds on its budget. Director Wagstaff?
I do not have any comments at this point.
Okay.
Excellent. Mrs.
Ms.
Lutz? Fire away. Yes.
I don't
No.
see it on.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Nice to see everybody back. You might note, if you look at the report, that we got a report from Othello. They are our software provider, so it looks a little bit different than our regular What We Heard report. We ran the budget engagement from September 1st to October 2nd. That was about 2 weeks less than what we typically do. We usually run it from 6 weeks to 2 months, but it overlapped with animal control and murals, and we bunched up our engagement a little bit because of COVID. So a little less time to run this engagement. And that showed a bit in our participation. We were down over 100 participants, about 113 down. So that was unfortunate, but we still got some really good feedback and some lots of visitors and lots of page visits to the site. So part of our engagement, we use this to inform people on our budget process. And you'll note that we had almost 800 different page visits, so people learned something from participating in the process. Our social media stats, we had 2,934 Facebook views, 617 Instagram, 323 Twitter views, so good social media presence. The mayor's video that we did, there was 865 views on your video, sir, and it was advertised in the newspaper September 1st, 8th, 13th, and 22nd. So we had good coverage that way. We mailed 3,500 postcards to every resident, so people got the word that way as well. And the approximate costs for the total engagement was about $3,400. We did a Grow With Us gift card, and Bruce Nelson won that prize, and he picked it up last week. So on the results, you will note we usually get fairly consistent, keep the same, which is good. That means that you guys are on the mark on how things are budgeted. So that I think the report kind of speaks for itself as well. We did notice a bit of a decrease in planning and development. That was the one that voted more for a decrease. So operational services, the most popular answer was keep the same, and it was fairly equal on both sides, and you guys can definitely take a look at the results yourself. I wanted you to know that on the number of respondents, so the left-hand axis, you'll see a 52.5, and I thought, how could half a person vote? And that's just the way they formatted the report. So that isn't half a vote, that's just the number, and I questioned that myself. The percentages and all the bar graphs, it's so for operational services, 40% voted to keep the same. So it's percentages that you see there. So I'm just going to flip right through because you guys can see those numbers as good as I can. And we'll go to just a note on the funding not-for-profit groups. You'll note in the comments we got a lot of people that thought that question was too vague. so we didn't really get great data from that. So that's a learning for next time, that if we're going to ask a question, maybe make it more specific, or don't bother asking it. So we did get feedback from that. The total responses, and you'll note that not everybody responds to every question. So we had 200, but not everybody responded to every single question. So that's why the totals are a little bit off. But operational services was where people thought tax dollars needed the greatest attention. The respondent and age category, and where people live, we just track that to make sure that we're hearing from our ratepayers. And sorry, I skipped a bit of a slide here. On where you see your future priorities, that's been pretty consistent over the last 4 years that we've done this. Road maintenance, crime safety, operations is always high. This year there was a spike with economic development. It was one of the higher ones this year, and it moved up a few spots, so I thought I'd just point that out. And debt reduction as well. That didn't really show up as strongly in previous years. So I thought I'd point that out for you. A really nice slide for me personally is the value you get for your tax dollars. And we are up 8% in positive if people feel they're getting good value for their taxes. So it was 68% positive this year, 60% in 2019, and 46% in 2018. So it's nice to see that number crawling up instead of the other way around, for sure. So if you have any questions, the public comments, you probably all noted that it was kind of a live blog type format. We did redact a few comments if it named somebody specifically. So if Jennifer Lutz is doing a poor job, that would be redacted. If a community facilitator is doing a poor job, that wouldn't be. So that's our social media policy. And some of the comments are in responses to somebody else's comment. So if it doesn't make 100% sense in the context it's responding to somebody else's comment. And that's just the way this format worked this time, in case you're wondering about that. So with that, we can do our best to field any questions.
Excellent, thank you. May I start with a motion, please? Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move to accept for information and or provide direction to administration and bring back to a future regular council meeting.
Excellent, thank you. Comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to extend thanks again, Jennifer, for an excellent job. I like the format of this report. I found it very easy to follow along, and I thought the information seemed to be applicable to what we were looking for. It is unfortunate, perhaps, that we were down somewhat in our responses, but overall, I thought the responses were good. It's good to have that information as a councillor, to know what people are saying out there in the general public. So that part I really appreciated. There were some really good comments, I thought, coming back. And as you indicated, the one area was a little weak as far as the nonprofit, but learning lesson for next year, perhaps. Thank you.
Excellent. Further comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Thompson?
Yes, Your Worship. There were a couple of comments in the from respondents about franchise fees and how we collect those or communicate those. Have we done any education for the public on how franchise fees are, how they relate to municipal budgeting, and can you give me an idea of what that might be?
CAO, would you care to respond to that question?
Well, I may have to defer to the Director of Finance, but I thought that was in our budget booklet of 2019, and we would re-emphasize it again, and as well as we did discuss it in our policy and priorities discussion on budgeting of basically how the franchise fees are basically addressed, and whether there's an increase or not from previous years. Are they dedicated to specific sources? And there's only one thing that they are dedicated to, and that's street lighting. The other ones are decisions of council if we wish to basically dedicate them to arts, culture, heritage, libraries, and things of that nature. So we will again continue to explain the franchise fees, how we get them, why they are dedicated to certain things, and the only one thing that they are certainly have to be dedicated to is to our street lighting. And that is the Fortis franchise fee is for that purpose.
Excellent.
Though I'll ask Director Linderman if she
Yep.
has anything more detailed to follow up with.
No, I think you covered it very well, but I do think it is something we can highlight, maybe even better in our 2021 budget booklet, for sure.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that. Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, and it's a good idea that we perhaps highlight the franchise fees in the booklet, and also point out, due to the fact that there's a number of properties within our community that do not, are not taxed, this is one way for all property owners to, in fact, help pay for operations and/or special things like heritage, arts, culture, and our library. But on to my actual question was, when people said to keep the service the same, was there an opportunity for people to realize that if the service level stays the same, that in all likelihood it would still mean an increase of budget dollars directed to that service?
Right.
And what the repercussion is.
That's a
I know
very
I
valid
had
point.
that discussion last year about this time, saying, okay, if you want to keep the same level of service, in all likelihood, it would cost more in the coming year because of inflation, because of all kinds of things.
Absolutely. Very good
So we
point.
need to make that clear to, as some way, I'm not sure how, I'll leave it up to the rest to explain how.
Yeah, and I think we could probably highlight that in next year's survey, if not before.
Yeah, we did change our format tool with Othello, so last year it wasn't a balance the budget process, it was a different, it didn't have the, where you put your tax assessment in, so it was easier to showcase. This year it was just a sliding bar, but yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I think that could easily be accommodated by just putting an asterisk there that a service level will be, no change to the service level will likely be an increase to the budget due to inflationary or other costs that basically are associated with that specific service level itself. So
Absolutely.
certainly we can make that adjustment.
Thank you for the comment. Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, just a couple of comments. I know there was some, some consistent messaging in here about more black bins, less green bins in the winter. I know we go over this every year, and I don't know how we get it across as to why we do it this way and to keep it this way. I don't know, I think we'll have to have a good discussion at service level or this week on our budget.
We can certainly do that, and CAO.
That's good.
Too many people have their mics left on.
Oh, I'm back on. I'm back live. No, I've lost my train of thought as I. But we did have a presentation. Now it's back with me. We had a presentation last fall in regards to a full evaluation of the 3-bin service that we had, including the 100-bin service that we also do for composting. And we can make adjustments, but by removing one area, we do have a lot of fixed costs, so the savings are not near as great as people think they would be. So this will be an upcoming discussion for our 2021 budget deliberations. There is a business case, I believe, on composting and our solid waste services. So absolutely, we do revisit this every year, but we did have a presentation from our main service provider last fall.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to point out to everybody that while the most popular it was, keep the same when you start adding up the number in favor increase or in favor of decrease. The in favor of decrease actually outnumbers the stay the same in almost every category. So I do want to point that out when we do go to budgeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. I noticed also there was, the snow removal where some residents, didn't get plowed, others get plowed more often. Then there was also comments, police versus bylaw. Why do we have bylaw? And I think maybe we should do an education piece on the bylaw, because I think people just think they drive around and don't do anything. I think we need to educate the people of the community exactly what they're doing when they're driving around. They're just not driving around. I mean, they're looking at things, and whether it's unsightly properties or dogs running, cats running, I mean, they are actually doing something, and I think we should do an education piece in some of our newsletter that goes out with the water bills or something like that. This is some of the things the bylaws are looking for, the officers are looking for, and they're just not driving around burning gas.
No. And another thing is that they're largely complaint-driven too. So we do often get a number of complaints regarding all of those things that you mentioned, and our bylaw officers prioritize them and take care of those on the fly. Excellent. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. A little further along to what Councillor Overwater said, perhaps this is an opportunity based on some of the comments that we've had throughout the whole entire survey and the other two surveys that we've just completed. This is an opportunity to look at some of the areas maybe where we can do a little more education to our citizens in certain areas. And I think our Community Services Department, I know, is very good at that as far as engagement and education. But I think some of these points are something that we can all work towards.
Perfect. Absolutely. Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Your Worship. I recognize some of those comments as well. I also noted that some of our citizens pointed out some of the things like the Evergreen Center and how Evergreen Club, pardon me, how it was very economical, or there wasn't a lot of resources going into there. There were some comments about making sure that seniors' transportation was kept affordable and rates did not increase. I took some of those comments around bylaw enforcement and around some of the art comments and sculpture comments, is that there are people in the community that are less happy with those expenditures and would like to see less focus. And I also recognize that there was a large number of citizens that also really appreciated them. So while we have an opportunity to educate about what we're doing, I think we also have an opportunity to reflect on the values that our citizens are placing on these services.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good point that goes to how diverse our community is in diversity of thought and opinion, and we appreciate each and every one of our residents for that. Any further comments, questions? Yes, CAL.
I just wanted to point out in regards to, I think this is a great discussion. We do need to have more did you know documents circulated on what we do and why we do it. But in regards to the just protective services and the municipal enforcement, one of the complaints in previous years where we were not being proactive enough in dealing with unsightly premises, so we did basically have even with COVID going on, we did have a practice where we were proactive going through various parts of our town to basically identify areas that were unsightly. And with that, I can guarantee you there was about 50% of the comments not happy with us doing it, and there was 50% thank you very much for doing it. So that is the kind of service we provide, that we're not going to always get 100% approval, just because the nature of it is often adversarial in regards to one person has a concern or a comment, and they basically ask us to look into it, and if we basically find out that they were right, then the other person's not so happy. Or if we verify that no, the situation is perfectly okay, then another individual is not going to be unhappy because you didn't do enough for me to resolve that issue. So it is something we're very mindful of, but I can honestly say the comments we're getting in the past year have been much more positive as we've taken a much more proactive approach to protective services. I shouldn't speak with Eric not in the room, but this past year they've done a lot of education too with our public and did not issue fines but warnings to people when they saw violations, because they really want people to learn and grow from the experience, not to be punished by the experience. So
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion carries 7-0 as well. All right, thank you so much. Let's move right along to item 6B, CAO. Yes, Councilor Overwater.
Just maybe, council, when we're doing our budget deliberations Wednesday, Thursday, maybe we should bring these, did we know?
Oh, absolutely.
To that
Excellent
conversation. So just remember, people, to bring
Yep. Very good. CAO?
okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor, in regards to policy 117C. This was brought to you, to your attention in the early part of this year, and then COVID hit, because we were asked to really bring it back for one issue. It was generally well accepted that our engagement policy is well received, and that was that concerning the word empowerment and what does that mean, and being part of sanctioned by an international body, so to speak, in a positive way. There was a reason for having empowerment in here. But Jennifer and Doug agreed that it's probably good to give you a bit more of an overview of the entire engagement policy, because it has been about 8-9 months since we brought it to you. So Jennifer has a bit of a presentation, and hopefully we'll be able to look at policy 117C afterwards. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Gives me an opportunity to talk about an organization I'm really fond of and have been a member for probably 25 years, I guess. So IEP2 is the predominant public participation body. They give us a code of conduct. They give us tools to work with. And I think the Town of Olds organization's been an IEP2 member for a long time, ever since I've been here. We have a corporate membership. 7 global regions, 26 participating companies, and it's been well endorsed in Canada. There's an IEP2 Canadian Association. There's a Wild Rose chapter in Alberta. And AUMA and RMA both refer to IEP2 as a best practice for public engagement. That being said, there are municipalities that don't use IEP2, so that is an option, and they do different things, but the town has always used IEP2. So it has a code of ethics, so as a practitioner I have to follow that code of ethics. Core value statement, which I also have to follow as a member and as somebody under that field in the spectrum of participation. So it does have, IEP2 does offer professional certification, and as far as I know, I think me and Heather Dixon are the only ones on staff that are IEP2 certified, but there could be a few others as well. So the Town of Olds, we've leaned on that for a long time. We're known as being leaders within our municipal field for our public participation, and in 2017 we won the Innovation Award for our engagement policy, which I think you probably all know, but just thought I'd bring it up. The spectrum of participation looks like this. So it's inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and empower. And empower is the tricky one. And if a municipality is going to fiddle with it, that is the one that is more difficult for some people to accept. It's the inform, consult, involve, collaborate. That's the most common. That leaves a decision to decision makers. So people are very comfortable with that. They don't like giving the power away. So it's the most comfortable form, those first levels. And empowerment's a little trickier because you are taking the decision out of elected official. You're delegating it to somebody else. So examples are an election, a plebiscite, or a delegated committee decision. It could even look like we're having a pumpkin carving contest and you let the people vote. You've delegated the power for them to choose a winner. So that is the spectrum of engagement in a nutshell. We could take empowerment out, but we would have to not use IEP2 standards. We'd be going back to the drawing board and creating our own spectrum per se. So we can do that as well. So our policies are obviously adaptable, but the IEP2 cooperated materials are not. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Mrs. Lutz. All right, may I start with motion, please? Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Worship. I move that Council accept the presentation on the International Association for Public Participation as information.
Excellent. Comments, questions, Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Ms. Lutz, for all of this information. I know there was several of the council and mayor that were on the collaboration course, and we all talked about the wonderful collaboration that we do with our engagement piece that our administration does, and a lot of the other communities were very interested in how we go about getting people at our engagement sessions. Sometimes we don't get as many as what we like, but you know, some of the other communities, they don't get anybody. So, you know, I think we should stay to the high standard of IAP2. I would hate to go down to a lower level of engagement. I think that's something that we strive to do, and I think we should carry on with that.
Excellent. Great comment. Thank you. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree with Councillor Overwater. I just think that on the spectrum analysis here, going as far as the empowerment, we don't really, that sort of is out of, not something that we really actually do. I mean, we collaborate, but, you know, if you take a look at what the survey just showed us with the budget, and we had people on both sides of the things, one person hates the flowers and one person loves the flowers, so how do you do, we will implement what you decide, because there's no decision there. So the empowerment is a little on the extreme side, I think. But I do agree that we'd collaborate. We do a really good job with collaborating with our partners, and we've done that all along. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Your Worship. I think we have some great examples in the community of empowerment. I think when you look at the Evergreen Center, you look at the Cadet Hall, these are organizations that have been empowered to run programming in their facilities, to do things for the community, and to utilize some resources and take management and control over them. So I give kudos to those organizations, and I think we do have some exceptional models in our community, just to share.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, we have a motion on the table. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion is carried 7-0. Thank you so much. Let's move along to...
Mr. Mayor, there's a second motion.
there
Council
is?
approve policy 117C, public engagement,
All
as
right.
presented.
Excellent. Motion. Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Council approve policy 117C, public engagement as presented.
Excellent. Comments, questions, concerns on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion is carried 7-0 as well. All right. Let's move along to item 6C, letter of reprimand. Who would like to speak to this? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. As indicated in the special council meeting minutes, council, as part of their sanctions in reference to Mr. Thompson, Councillor Thompson's violations code of conduct, it was indicated to write Mr. Thompson a letter of reprimand. And today I would like to read out that letter of reprimand to him. So, with your permission.
Please.
After a lengthy investigation, you have been found in violation of the Council Code of Conduct Bylaw 2018-01. You clearly advocated for yourself and your employer's interest and discredited council when you referenced confidential information in your June 12, 2020 Facebook post. This violates Section 2A of the Code of Conduct that requires you to act in good faith and serve the welfare and interests of the town of Olds as a whole. And further, you are found in contravention of Section 8.2 that requires you to be free from undue influence and not to act or appear to act in order to gain financial or other benefits for yourself or your employer. Further, some of the statements you made in your June 12, 2020 Facebook post were made with the intent to mislead members of the public, which is in contravention of Section 3.5 of the Code of Conduct Bylaw. Your statements clearly showed that you did not act in the best interests of the municipality as a whole and attempted to advocate for your personal interest and that of your employer. You were informed in January 2020 of your conflict of interest between the town of Olds and your employer, Olds Institute, and were advised not to post on social media. Further, you were provided this same information on May 12, 2020, during Council's formal orientation session. And yet you chose to disregard this and intentionally posted information on Facebook, discrediting members of Council, the town, and administration, which was contrary to the Code of Conduct. You gave up the right to publicly question Council when you became an elected official. You are hereby censured for your inappropriate behavior and misconduct, and because of this, Council expects you to honor your oath of office and abide by the Council Code of Conduct. Your refusal to do the right thing has cost our taxpayers approximately $27,000 for investigator fees. You are hereby directed to act accordingly, and further breaches of Council Code of Conduct will result in further sanctions. And this letter of reprimand was signed by Mayor Magiska, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Blatz, Councillor Harper, Councillor Overwater, and Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Councillor Harper. Who is next to speak? Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want it noted that this is not a punishment to Councillor Thompson, but a letter of reprimand sanctioning Councillor Thompson for his breach of the Code of Conduct Bylaw 2018-01. I'd like that to be noted.
Very much so. Thank you very much. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to make a motion that Council accepts the letter of reprimand due to the breach of Council Code of Conduct Bylaw 2018-01 and present it to Councillor Thompson and add it to his file.
Excellent. Anyone else? No? All right. We have a motion on the table. Any comments, questions, concerns regarding the motion? All right. I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? And that motion carries a 6-0 vote in favor. Thank you so much. All right, let's move right along to item 6D, 70th Avenue intersection. I believe that's a Councillor Blatz addition to our...
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Your Worship.
Yes.
I received several comments in the last few days in regards to the fact that we have set aside money for the 70th Avenue intersection. And the questions that I have been receiving is as to why it was chosen for that in particular intersection, and why it was never looked at for the intersection either by the high school on Highway 2A or at the corner of 54th Street and Highway 2A. Because as that time, particularly around usually from 8 o'clock in the morning till maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, and from about 2:15 until maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon, it's quite congested there. So citizens have just questioned as to why that particular intersection was chosen above another intersection. So I thought, being that this is a public meeting, in light of being transparent, we would just like to have some clarification from
Yes,
administration if possible.
Overwater? Yeah.
I do just have a comment towards that, Your Worship. I believe we were waiting for eventually Highways Transportation to put lights in right at the intersection at the high school and then going to the west to the industrial area. Like, we didn't want a whole bunch of lights there.
No.
No, I know where you're talking about, the pool and 54th.
Or there, well, the question was for there. But the reason why I brought this up at this meeting was so that if the general public are listening in, then it's out there for everybody and they've got consistent and clear messaging. And I also know that in the new entrance where, on the south end, where it will be going into the industrial park, there will eventually be some calming traffic circles, I believe, at that point in time. But that's quite a ways away. And that's the question just came to me recently, that they wanted justification. So that's why I've brought it here forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Director Chant, would you like to speak to it, or CAO?
Well, I'll speak to it first, but I'll ask
Okay.
Director Chant to speak to it next. The 70th Avenue has always been in our plan when we basically had a capital plan to build Rotary Park and to develop that area. We have 4 lanes of highway going in and out of town, and there was always a need to look at a traffic calming situation, whether it be a traffic circle or lights, and that's why this was chosen. It wasn't really being prepared for this year. It was basically thought to be in a further year when we had the dollars available. But because of COVID, there was basically, we submitted a bunch of shovel-ready projects. Many of them were already on our 2020 capital plan. This one was not on our 2020 capital plan. And we needed to have a project that we would not have participated in or did this year to receive the money and to actually spend the money. So that's why we had chosen that one. Now, in regards to the aquatic center and the intersection there, we basically are moving forward due to another grant that we received from transportation, $3 million, to basically look at the southeast industrial area and to have a basically traffic circle developed for that area specifically, which will basically calm traffic down considerably, and that is, again, being planned for 2021. Town of Olds was very fortunate to get over $4 million on projects that we had submitted in the past, and this was not something that was new to us, but was very timely and very happy to receive that. The third area I'm going to have to ask Director Chant to speak to, but overall, those were the reasons for the decision-making of why we chose those 2 priority areas, as we were trying to look at areas that needed to be developed and needed to be addressed into the future, because as Rotary Park, and maybe with COVID, it wasn't used as much this year, but we do need to use that access on 70th Avenue, the reason why we paved it and things of that nature. But Director Chant, can you further supplement? And if you disagree with what I said, please feel free to say that too, because it is a public place, and I don't mind being wrong if I am wrong.
I'll take the high road and agree with everything that my bosses come up with. No. And as CEO Merritt indicated, for all the right reasons of why these 2 intersections were chosen, with the upgrade of, or the addition, I guess, of, which would be the new 68th Street, south of town, with a traffic circle there, and then going into our southeast industrial area, it will alleviate some of the pressure off of those other 2 intersections, with not as much traffic if they need to go south from the industrial area, and large truck traffic that you'll see coming in and out of that area they'll go to the south because it'll be easier for them to get in and out of, that they're not competing for, high school traffic and things like that. Traffic impact studies had also, deemed that 70th Avenue is another high priority area that needed to be done. And when we look at, the new rules with transportation and these traffic impact studies that need to be done a mile away from each direction, now that used to be only half mile, now they're looking at a mile all directions, is that, the Catholic school, the Highlands subdivision, the opening up of the north, all of those areas indicated that intersection needed treatment. And again, as our CEO alluded to, if it wasn't for this grant that came up, it kind of sped this project forth more than, it might have been a couple of years down the road, but it was a good fit for this money that we were applying for.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Director Chan. Yes, Councillor Blatz.
Thank you very much for that information, but perhaps maybe going forward then, when we get these studies done, these traffic studies done, that we should share them with our public or general public in some way, form, so that people are aware of why the studies are being done and why the decisions are being made, because I think people get to the coffee shop or wherever and start chatting, and then all of these conversations start coming back, and it's just nice for people to have some idea of why the decision was made. I'm sure that that's probably not going to quite answer the questions as people had hoped, but it is the answers, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Excellent.
Two things. One, absolutely, we should basically get a communication out in regards to those grants and what they're being used for, and to address the comments that are being raised by the residents that you're bringing to us, so that's very important. Secondly, these were basically grants that were created in the past half of the year. We've been asking the provincial government ever since COVID to look at operating and capital grants, so to speak. It came to the STIP grant from transportation is one we applied for several times because we knew that this was a very important intersection to get dealt with, and so we were very pleasantly surprised after 2 rejections, I believe, Director Chant, that we got approval for it because we asked the mayor to submit it again, and so he did, because it's a top priority, and this will take a lot of pressure off of town expenditures, so to speak, to deal with that intersection. The second one, again, we were hoping to use for shovel-ready projects. That's what the initial indication was, that please, from the federal and provincial governments, was submit your shovel-ready projects so you can basically get approval. As you remember in Director Linderman's one of her early presentations on COVID about budget, she basically indicated we were deferring some projects because we did not know the impact of COVID was going to have on our finances immediately. We were concerned by that, and when we found out that that wasn't so bad, we did decide to move forward with the capital projects in place. When the government program came for this capital expenditure, it basically, again, we had to use it for a project that we weren't anticipating into the future, and for 2020, but one that we were going to be planning in our 10-year capital plan. And that was the reason why we chose this. It fit the bill. It was within the budget that we could utilize. It's about $1 million, and our grant was about $1.1 million. So it was something that was very timely and very proactive, and we did not want to give any money back to any level of government, considering that these were projects that we had thought out. They were not something that, let's find a project. We went to our capital plan, and it was easy with the STIP program because the Southeast Industrial has always been in our plan. Yes, there was other projects we were looking at for infrastructure purposes, but again, for health and safety of our residents, we thought that 70th Avenue was a good fit for the $1 million or the $1.1 million that were out there. But we will do a better job of communicating, but it wasn't something that we had a lot of time to think about. We had to get our projects in, especially for the capital infrastructure, I think by was it the end of October or the beginning of October was Yes.
Thank you very much, CAO. Do we need a motion to accept for information? No? All right. All right, so let's move along to reports from councils, boards, and committees. Sorry? Do you think we need a, yeah? Councillor
I was
Harper?
just saying that we should accept it for information.
Yeah, I
when
believe so
A lot of
too,
information
yeah.
was provided.
All right,
So-
Councillor Harper, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I will accept for information, the information provided by administration in reference to the 70th Avenue intersection as opposed to Highway 2A, 54th Street, and whatever that
Yeah.
other road is.
Excellent. I'd like
Thank you
to
very
thank
much.
Councillor Blatz for bringing this issue
I know
forward
what road.
and speaking very well and eloquently on behalf of our residents. Thank you so much. Questions, comments, concerns on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? That motion is carried 7-0. All right, so that brings us to reports from councils, boards, and committees. Who would like to start with a motion? Councillor Blatz. And we'll go around the horn as it's the end of the month.
I move that the reports from council, authorities, boards, and commissions ending October 26th, 2020 be received for information.
Excellent.
And
Please
I
feel
can
free to start us
start.
off.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended 2 different EOEP courses, which is our elected officials education courses. One on regional partnerships and the other on municipal corporate planning and finance. I've completed both of those courses now. I attended regular and special council meetings and the policy and priorities meetings. It was an honor to attend the Fire Service Awards with our dedicated volunteers. I attended a municipal users group meeting with Minister Nixon in Sundre last Friday, and that was a very good meeting. We met with him to discuss the municipal users group purpose and also that we're doing extensive work to ensure the quality and quantity of our water for all our municipalities on the Red Deer River. And we want to be able to work with the Department of Environment into the future to ensure that we have safe water and quality supply. I also attended South Red Deer River Wastewater Commission meeting, and we did pass a draft budget, and information is forthcoming if you haven't already received it to administration in regards to what the rates potentially will be set at for 2021. And of course, today's organizational meeting and today's regular council meeting.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Blatz. We'll go to Councillor Ryan and make a loop around the.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended the same things as, or some of the same things as Councillor Blatz, including the 2 courses. I had a Parkland Regional Library Executive Committee meeting. Just want to let everybody know that we're in the midst of moving into our new building and everything was on time, on budget, so we're really happy about that. Attended the library board meeting, the Olds Municipal Library Board meeting. Just wanted to say thank you to Jean-Pierre and Arliss for their service on the board. They've decided to step back. And also kudos to our administration for finding storage. We were trying to figure out where we were going to put all the furniture that we've had piled up from COVID. And now that we've opened up the library to programs in person, we needed the space back. But we still had a lot of furniture left over because we can't, of course, accommodate all the people that we used to. And administration was able to find a storage unit, and staff came by and helped move everything in about 2 hours. So we were really thrilled because it does save us a ton of cost. So thank you very much to the town for doing that. Mountain View Seniors Board meeting. We also passed our draft budget, and I'm happy to say that we are going to see a slight decrease in requisition this year. So that's good news. Hopefully going forward, we'll see more of that. Yeah, fingers crossed. I attended a Women's in Politics seminar that was hosted by the Mayor of Drumheller, and it included 2 cabinet ministers and a senator, and it was quite an interesting discussion around women in politics and how we can encourage more women to run. in place of the mayor, who was unable to attend. I went to the Olds College announcement that was made last Friday. Agriculture, from the Agriculture and Forestry Minister was there, as well as I believe it was the Advanced Education Minister, and as well as our own MLA and Speaker of the House, Nathan Cooper. The announcement basically was for Olds College to take over the field crop development. So they received a $10.5 million grant over 3 years to fund the program, which is a great thing. Good kudos to our college and the good work that they're doing. And I believe that's it.
Excellent.
Oh, as well as today's meeting, of course.
Thank you so much, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I attended many of the same things as my fellow councillors across the way. MPC, we approved basically an accessory building in one of our neighborhoods. We approved a new vet clinic and a private sports facility over in Imperial Way. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do there. They have some great plans for that facility, so I'm looking forward to that. I attended or listened virtually to the speeches on the FCM, and Scott Pierce is one of our third vice presidents. I listened to his speech, and he was very good, and I think he'll advocate for, all of Canada coming together and advocating for the West more so than what's been going on right now. Two of our women from Alberta, Krista Balson, Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, and Tanine Rudick from Vegreville are also directors for FCM, and I know they'll do a great job for advocating for us as well. Also, I attended many workshops throughout the AUMA, many education sessions that we all attended. And there was one, it was Housing for Health, and it talked about if your community is designed for walkability, it increases activity, decreases isolation, reduces crime and stress, more people on the street increases more eyes on the street. So, they were really promoting being able to walk your community, so that if you have vacant lots, you should maybe try and put picnic tables and just a few chairs around to make it where people can come together and have a coffee and, just engage in whatever topics they want to talk about. Then also there was another session on PACE, it's Property Assessed Clean Energy, and CEEP, Clean Energy Improvement Program. These are basically loans that you can get at, and I can't remember if they were interest-free. I think MJ and Mitch were on that one as well. Councillor Thompson and Councillor Harper were on that one too. And where you can get interest-free or very low-interest loans to make your house very clean energy. And what happens is then, of course, your power bills are reduced, your water bills are reduced, and that loan stays with the house. So if you sold your house, that loan would stay there, so then the new owner would benefit from the initiatives you put in, but they would have to continue on with the loan. So that was interesting. And I could go on for longer periods of time, but I won't. But I attended many of the same courses as everyone else. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I can say I attended pretty well most of what the rest of council is stating. I will emphasize a little bit more about the clean energy. Both Councillor Thompson and myself did reach out to the CEEP program lead, and they have indicated that they would be working with our administration to be able to come down to talk more to council on one-to-one basis to talk about this particular program that would be available to property owners, whether they be residential or commercial property owners. So I think that's a great idea. Attended the Water Commission meeting. We will be going into budget discussions in the next 2 weeks, so look forward to that. And everything is going fairly smoothly at the plant. They are doing some more upgrading as well, though. So look forward to the budget discussions from the results of that. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Your Worship. Ditto, ditto. And yes, as we all attended many of the same things, I won't repeat myself, but I will pass to the legislative clerk. I didn't get it in time to be printed, so I'll get it added. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had the opportunity to attend the same courses through the elected official education program, to attend AUMA and to vote at the FCM election. I would, however, like to highlight, it was a privilege to be part of the Fire Service Awards, as we talked about earlier, to be there. And I'd like to recognize Citizens on Patrol. They did have a successful AGM at the end of September. They were able to find the energy and commitment from members to continue to patrol the community and provide that support. And so I'd like to offer kudos to Chairman Gordon Buchert and the members of the Citizens on Patrol for their efforts in the community.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I too attended many of the sessions that were already mentioned, so I won't bore everybody with my interpretations of those because I think they were very well laid out by council. One of the things I did attend that nobody else did was we did have a meeting in Edmonton with regards to the AUMA Economic Recovery Task Force. We've approved our work plan for the year, so I'm looking forward to once that gets typed up and sent out to me, I'll share that with council to show everybody what it is that we're up to in Edmonton with regards to that. I also was honored to get a reach out from Senator Paula Simons to give a sort of state of the nation to her with regards to the town of Olds, and had a little over an hour telephone conversation with her. What a delight that lady is. She's I did have a bit of interaction with her a couple of years ago as she was the presenter for our committee at AUMA, the Energy and Infrastructure Committee. So I got a chance to interview her back then, and just a fantastic lady, and her concern for our community was very much appreciated. And about 15 minutes after I hung up the telephone with her, I got an email from Senator Black's office asking for the same. So it sort of sounds like they're on a bit of a hiatus, and it's nice to see all these senators in Alberta reaching out to communities, especially of our size, to do a check-in to make sure that we're doing all right. So would like to thank the Canadian Senate for their concern with regards to the town of Olds. So we do have a motion on the table. Yes, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a question for you.
Yes.
What about, have you had a meeting with MAP at all? Because we haven't really heard anything. What's going?
We have not. The organizational meeting flips the control of MAP, so I've been waiting until that sort of gets finalized, and then I'll reach out to the new chair and get all of our concerns, which we do have several that we want to address at a MAP meeting. So, and just for everybody listening out there, MAP is the municipal area partnership, which includes the town of Cremona, the town of Carstairs, the town of Didsbury, the town of Olds, town of Sundre, and Mountain View County all sit on that particular committee. And we try to address issues that concern all of us equally. So once we get that all squared away and I found out that the chair has changed, I'll reach out immediately. Thank you for reminding me. All right. Any other questions or comments regarding the report? Yes, Councillor, or sorry, CAO.
I just
Don't
want to
demote
say
you.
that the CAOs for Mountain View County have had a brief discussion on MAP. The transfer will take place in November, where Sundre will become the chair of the MAP committee. And we did indicate that there is a need for a MAP meeting sooner than later because a number of issues have basically arisen over the last number of months. So everybody's keen on doing it, but we'll await for the new chair to establish themselves.
Excellent. So early in November, we'll get a letter out to them from council. Councillor Overwater, then Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, when I was listening to some of the different policing sessions through AUMA, they talked about a survey that was going to come out to each municipality, and each municipality was requested to fill out one survey per municipality. Did we get that survey yet? And well, I'm just making sure that we do end up filling it out, because I think it's going to be very important. That review committee is I think they're spending $2 million on a review committee for whether we're going to have RCMP or our own policing in Alberta.
Yes.
So I think it's important that we get our views into them with that survey.
Yep. CAO?
I believe we did receive the survey. I believe we filled it out based on our policing priorities that we have basically gone through. Director Wagstaff can correct me if I'm wrong, and we were to circulate that to council, our response.
Yes, we can circulate that to council. We did do the online response after we reviewed with our staff sergeant our policing priorities that had been presented to council.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Wagstaff. Councillor Harper.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Councillor Ryan for bringing up MAP, because I do have one other question. I know that early this spring, we did receive approval for the beginning of a regional recreation master plan, and because of COVID, it sort of got put on hold a little bit. And I'm just wondering if MAP is ready to take on that plan and start the process.
MAP
Or if
has
there
already
is a way.
agreed to take on that plan. They did it prior to us making an application, and we were successful in getting it. The status on the recreation master plan is we basically put it out for RFD. We have received a number, I think, of 5 applications, of which 4 are, I believe, going to be reviewed. A committee is being set up by the Mountain View County CAOs, so Director Wagstaff will be the head of ours. And as you recall, it was the town of Olds that applied for the grant, so we are the sponsoring municipality, and so it's under our responsibility to monitor and to report on that. And so we're hoping in the next week or two, we'll set up a committee meeting to review the RFPs. Just to remind people that this is a pretty extensive review. The last one was done in 2009. It will require public consultation of all the municipalities involved. In the end, we will identify a number of our requirements in the next 10 to 15 years for what we see as our recreational and trail requirements for the future. And who knows what will take place, but the last one, almost everything that was in the entire plan and all the ones in the town of Olds was basically completed. So it's a very useful plan. It's one that we need for planning into the future instead of doing ad hoc basically projects. So it would be well thought out, and it'll be done with the region in mind, and so we can prioritize where the various recreational facilities will end up going in Mountain View County.
Excellent, thank you. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, we have a motion on the table. I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed, and that motion is carried 7-0. Thank you very much. So that brings us to correspondence and information. CAO.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. And so the first correspondence is from Municipal Government Board, from their chair, basically acknowledging that they received our initiating application for the annexation of lands with Mountain View County. The second correspondence is with the South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission, where we signed a 3-year operating agreement to basically maintain the lines in regards to the wastewater commission. This was something we had started about a year or so ago. The termination was to be on December of this year, and we have now extended for 3 years. It will increase by inflationary costs, as indicated, and both the town of Olds and many of the municipalities, as well as the commission, are very pleased with the situation since the town of Olds has taken on its responsibilities for monitoring this line. So the next one, I believe, is in regards to a response from the Minister of Municipal Affairs indicating that there's a changing of responsibilities between Olds Institute and the town, and that basically any grants that are to be provided to Olds Institute that are town-related grants, if they're agency grants, that's different, but if they're town-related grants, would require a letter of support from the town of Olds, and the minister acknowledged as such that. The next item is, I believe, the Kiwanis auction that they're planning to hold at the Olds Legion at 6 o'clock on Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. And this is something that they have held for many years now. And so just to let the public know that the Kiwanis auction is to take place on December 3rd, 2020 at 6 o'clock. So hopefully people hear that. The next three items, I believe, are thank yous to the town of Olds for our support of continuing education with the Olds High School and the various grades. So the three that we received, there was one earlier the past month, was from Mona Fasakis, I believe. Mona, I hope I got that right. Second one was from Aiden Teal. And there was a third one from Simon May. So they're all thanking us. Director Wagstaff sent out an email to council to indicate how those funds were being apportioned to the various grades within Olds High School. And I believe there was another letter from the Minister of Municipal Affairs in regards to the annexation. Again, just acknowledging the situation that we have initiated the annexation of lands with Mountain View County, and I think the last item is from Clark Bannock. They applied for a rural anti-racism project grant. They did not receive it due to various budgetary cuts and the reduction of grants, but I believe Director Wagstaff, we provided a letter of support for them to receive that grant, and they just wanted to include us in the acknowledgement that at this time they were not successful in getting that grant. If I got that right, no need to say anything. If I got it wrong, please speak up, Director Wagstaff. With that, I think that's my report on the various pieces of correspondence, one of the longer ones in the past few months.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I move that we accept the correspondence and information report from Mr. Michael Merritt, CAO, ending October 26, 2020, be received for information.
Microphone, sorry. Excellent, thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns regarding this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor and opposed? And that is passed with a 7-0 vote. What's on? Wow, look at that. It's adjournment. Who would like adjournment? Councillor Blatz, look at you quick on the draw. All right, all in favor? And opposed? That's 7-0 for adjournment. Thank you so much, everybody.